Good morning, everyone. We are a group of friends. We're all American living in London, and we really enjoy getting together and sharing perspectives and learning from each other. So we've decided to record some of these conversations and bring you guys in. So today we're going to talk about wellness.
Yeah, this is a topic that's been on my mind a lot lately, especially going into winter. And Nina, you have a background, you're a nurse, and so you've got a medical background. And so I'm actually really interested to hear what you, especially with COVID in mind, what kind of things you're stocking up on for this winter for you and your family.
So I think that I've kind of narrowed it down to three main things that we can all do to support our immune systems through the winter. It doesn't matter if there's a pandemic or not, because especially if you're raising little kids, you're going to get exposure to germs, or if you're in a big city, or if you're just living anywhere, you're going to get exposure to germs all the time. So the three main things. The first one is you need to give your body a chance to heal from the work that it does during the day. That's your recharge time, and that happens at night. If you can try and have a consistent go to bed time and consistent wake up time, it's easier for your body to complete those REM cycles and get on a good pattern, so that your body has that time to get the deep sleep that then will really allow your body to heal and recharge. The second thing is you need to give your body a chance to strengthen itself, and that strengthening happens in exercise. So if you can get at least 30 minutes of exercise every day and work up to a sweat, it allows those muscles to build more muscle. It allows your bones to strengthen, and it also allows your circulatory system to flush out anything that's bad that's happening to it or happening inside of it. And then the third thing is you need to support your system, and that happens through nutrition. So your body needs certain parts and pieces in order to function the best that it can, and it gets those things from food. And so eating the right foods, whole foods, healthy foods, a variety of foods, and eating enough of them is going to give your body the building blocks it needs to then put itself together every night when you recharge.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I am unfortunately an insomniac. It's something I've struggled with most of my adult life. So sleep is actually really hard, even though it's a basic need. It's really difficult for me to be really regular. Do either of you know, is it the number of hours, or when I've worked with sleep therapists, the idea is being really consistent about a wake up time, for example, that's the most important part, or as a kid, the hours before midnight are what matter, and what have you found to help with that? Because it sounds like it should be really simple, but it's actually really hard for me to get a full night's restful sleep.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. In the 5 years that I've had kids, I have not established a good bedtime wake-up routine. It's always on the list of ideals that I'm reaching towards, but I never master it. But yeah, so the hours before midnight are the ones that are usually the best for recharging. And so the earlier you can set your bedtime, and then the earlier you wake up, the easier it is for your body to get that REM cycle that it needs. A lot of people that are, known in society to be like the greats, they often wake up really early in the morning. And I think maybe they're not getting a full night's sleep, but that when they're sleeping is usually the most productive time. And then when they're working is a time when the body doesn't need as much sleep. I think that having something that you can look forward to as a way to unwind at the end of the day is a really good way to get your body into the habit of going to bed at an earlier time. Because I think typically, as people that are raising families or who have busy careers, once you get off work or the kids go to bed, that's the time when you feel like you need to catch up on life. But it's actually the time when your body needs to catch up on sleep. And so if you can set aside those things and maybe move them to the early morning hours, and instead use that time to sort of relax before you're going into sleep, it'll help your body transition between a really busy, high energy day to then falling into a sleep pattern.
And then also I was going to mention, in addition to kind of sleep to give us energy, the energy that we need, I had a really interesting experience where my mom she's like a vitamin advocate. My whole life, she's always put vitamins by my breakfast plate and tried to get me to take them. And I don't know, I didn't really think, I thought it was kind of like the sort of thing that, we all should do this or do that, but it's fine if you don't. But I had an experience recently where I was dealing with a lot of fatigue, and it was different from being tired. It was as though my core was melting. I just felt this need to kind of sit and lay down. I felt like an inner weakness, kind of physically. And I started taking vitamin B12 and vitamin D, and I feel a lot better. That's the only thing that's changed, and I feel like a lot more energy. I don't feel that anymore during the day. Sometimes I feel tired, yes, but I don't feel like I don't feel core weakness that's caused from fatigue. And so I think in addition to eating healthy, getting the vitamins that we need from food, and getting regular and sufficient sleep, I feel like supplements are huge, because I was feeling that way. I was feeling that fatigue when I was eating healthy. And so I think it can be really beneficial to find out like what vitamins work for you. If your body isn't feeling optimal, what is it that might be lacking? And this didn't come up in the blood tests. I kept going to the doctor. I went a couple of times to see what could be causing the fatigue, and I had a blood test for anemia, and I had a blood test for thyroid, and they're like, nope, everything looks fine. But I just felt like I wasn't fine. I was like, something is wrong. My something's wrong, because I'm so tired, and I haven't always felt this way. I feel like in the past, vitamins were sort of an annoyance for me, and I would forget to take them. And anyway, now I want to take them because it makes such a difference.
Do you have, I know that there's like a difference between taking vitamin B methylated and unmethylated. Did you learn when you started taking it what the benefits are?
I'm glad that you asked that. Yes, I did. So I started taking vitamin B12 because I was pregnant and feeling really unwell, and that's kind of the first line of defense before you take medication for feeling unwell when you're pregnant. So I took it for that. That's kind of how I discovered that it helped me not feel sick actually when I was pregnant, but then also helped give me energy. And there is a difference. I was taking non-methylated, and it did not have the same effect as methylated B12. I think there's something in the methylated B12 that makes it easier for your body to process. Chewable also. My vitamin B and vitamin D are chewable. Apparently, I'm told that helps your body absorb the vitamins better if it's chewable. And I also take 5,000 milligrams, which is a lot of the B12. It's like the most that you can take. Yeah. But that really does it for me. I think often you'll find 1,000 milligram tablets, but the ones I have are 5,000 methylated chewable B12. And it's really been life-changing. Yeah. I'm curious, though, to hear what else you guys do.
I was a teacher for a number of years, and I just felt like every winter I would get slammed. I was kind of the canary of the school. And so I was the first one to get sick and then the last one to get better. And it just, every year, I felt like I wasn't building up my immune system. And so I was trying to find ways to just help not get so sick so often. And so I'd heard about bone broth, and it's super nutritious. It has a lot of protein. And it's the real bone broth. So the one where you've got the bone marrow, it's been stewing for 24 hours. So yeah, I found some brands. You can make it. My sister makes her own bone broth. I do not, because it takes about 24 hours. So I do store bought. But it was great. And I would have a cup every morning. And I found that I would replace a lot of sugary drinks. I would make sure I would have my cup of bone broth at breakfast, and often enough at lunch during the winter. And it made a huge, huge difference for me. So it was one of those things where a headache started to go away, probably because I was replacing some unhealthy food choices with this. And the experiment sort of for me was I went back to school for a little while. I was taking classes, and it was in the middle of winter, and everyone got hit with the flu, and I actually didn't get sick at all. So it sounds silly and it's anecdotal, and I know it's not an experiment, but for me, it was this proof that this is just improving nutrition and putting in really healthy things really made a huge difference. I'm always trying to find ways to sneak it in. So, because it has a little bit of a weird taste if you're not used to it. And so I can have a cup of it and it's great, but my husband and kids, they don't like it. So, but luckily you can sneak it into like soups or sauces, and you don't notice. So I think there's ways to sneak in, just like you were saying, nutrition, just boosting nutrition. And so it's adding the healthy things while also trying to take out some of the unhealthy things, which are really hard for me to do. But that by itself was just a huge change for me. Something else I was thinking about, like when you mentioned vitamin D, both mentioned vitamin D, is I had talked to a nutritionist at one point, same reason, just feeling a lot of fatigue, low energy, brain fog. And I just, anyway, wanted to talk about nutrition and figure out if that had something to do with it. And vitamin D was the biggest thing she mentioned. And that
most everyone is deficient in it now, in part because we live indoors so much, so often. And so she basically told me, she's like, unless you're outside naked for 1 to 3 hours a day, which I would love to do. I know, hard to do in the middle of London. Then you should be supplementing that.
So I'm also curious, what do you guys give your kids?
Something that does work really well that they love, that was recommended to me by my friend Mika, who was here in London for a while. She has a spray. And I was having a really hard time early in my pregnancy taking pills. And so the spray, you can just spray on the inside of your cheek. It's called Better You. And they make them for kids as well. So they just, like kids, when I say vitamins, they're like trained. They open your mouth and I can just do a quick spray. Exactly. And it's great. So even my 2-year-old who fights vitamins and most food right now loves it. It's really quick and easy. So for kids, that's been the greatest. It's so fast.
Okay.
So that's cut out the battles.
I was thinking with vitamin D that it's really important to take vitamin D this winter because a lot of the peer-reviewed studies that have come out about COVID have stated that vitamin D is very helpful in preventing COVID contraction and also in making you have less severe disease if you do get COVID. You have a lower rate of hospitalization and just lower rates of contracting symptoms with the virus if you do test positive for it. So it's a tragedy, I think, that our routine blood work in many first world countries doesn't include a vitamin panel. You have to pay quite a bit extra in order to get those vitamins tested, and most people are vitamin D deficient, as well as like with vitamin B and vitamin C. But yeah, taking that vitamin D, there's probably no one that doesn't need a little bit extra, and it will really help with dealing with the COVID circumstances of this winter. And I love, they have like drops that you can give. They're specifically made for babies, where you can just put like a drop on a bottle, and that way your baby is getting enough vitamin D if you're not supplementing with formula. But I love using it for my kids now as they're older, even for myself, because what I'll do is I'll just put the drop onto the vitamin that we're taking, because we take gummy vitamins. So I put a little drop on there, and then we're getting an added dose of vitamin D, and it's easy. It's not something new, and it doesn't like hurt your stomach because it's in that liquid form. It's similar to the spray.
Since we're talking about this, I realized I forgot about this. I know there's some vitamins that you shouldn't take with other foods.
Yeah.
So like, what is it that you shouldn't take with milk?
So vitamin C. And then with iron, you always want to have vitamin C because that helps your body absorb iron. The bioavailability is still really good when you're taking a multivitamin, even if you're having calcium at the same time or vitamin C at the same time as you're taking it. But if you just want that maximum use of what supplements you are taking, you can be a bit more particular. But if you don't have space for it in your life, you're still getting a good 40 to 60% of bioavailability with those vitamins. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Every little bit helps, right?
A little bit helps.
So.
Well, good. Well, you guys, thank you. It's always so enriching to talk with you, and it's just great to learn from each other.
I know, it's really helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
And thank you guys for joining us today. We will be back again soon with another conversation.